Are your images slowing down your Shopify store and killing your sales? In this video, I'll show you everything you need to know to get your Shopify product images right. We'll cover how to choose the right format, size, and aspect ratio, how to compress and upload images without breaking your store, how to write proper alt text, and tips for bulk editing and naming files. By the end, your images will load faster, look professional, and help increase conversions. And if you're new here, my name is Christian, and I help Shopify store owners improve their stores, boost conversions, and get better results. If that sounds like something you want for your store, hit that subscribe button and let's jump right into it. The first thing I always check when optimizing a Shopify store is the images. They are amongst the heaviest assets, and even though they are not the only thing that affects speed, they are one of the easiest problems to fix. So what do we mean when we say image optimization on Shopify? Simply put, it's about preparing your images the right way before you upload them and keeping them in check once you have them on your store. The goal is to get the best quality possible while keeping the file size as low as possible. But why bother doing that? Because image optimization affects a lot more than just speed. It impacts how your store looks, how trustworthy it feels to visitors, and yes, it can affect the conversion rate. Get this part right and your store will not only load faster, also look sharper and perform better. And this is just one small part of my full Shopify speed optimization course. If you want your store to load faster, feel smoother, and convert better overall, I break everything down step by step in the full course. You can check that out by using the link in the description. So how does Shopify actually handle our images? Well, Shopify does a couple of things for us, one of which is to serve our images from a CDN, which is a content delivery network. Instead of having all your files served from one server, what a CDN does is to actually copy the main server and all the files as they come from the user. So let's say you are updating your site and you add new images. Those images would go to the main server, and from the main server will propagate to the copy servers. For example, if you have customers in North America, you're gonna have a server there. If you have customers in South America, you're gonna have a server there. And customers from those regions, instead of downloading everything from the main server, would download things from the local server for them, and that would speed up things significantly. Now, there are still websites and systems out there that still don't use CDNs, and that's obviously a shame because customers that are far away from the server will have to wait more to download that and will have a worse experience. But Shopify does this automatically. On Shopify, you get a CDN automatically and things are smoother, so customers from far away will still have a good experience on your store. Now, a second thing that Shopify does for us automatically is to actually serve multiple sizes from one single upload. So you're gonna upload the image once and you can actually add filters on your theme in order to have the image displayed in the right format for the right screen. And this is more of a technical thing because this is done inside the code, but let's say you uploaded this image over here. So once you've uploaded an image to your store, you're gonna have a link something like this. So this is the link that resulted from me uploading this image. And as you can see, it has the extension here .jpeg, but at the end we have another part of the URL. And it actually says here 493. This is the width of the image right now. This is created with an image filter on the Shopify theme. And if I go and I remove this part over here, I'm going to actually access the original image that I've uploaded. So if I enter now, this is much larger and now I can actually zoom. So if I click on the image, now I can see the full width of the image. This is the actual size that I've uploaded. But if I go back, I'm gonna get the smaller version, a version that was created with Shopify filters. And that looks something like this. So I can go here to the documentation and let's say this is one of our product images. As you can see, this is the liquid code that generates this link over here. And at the end, you're going to have the width as we had it on the other example. So 450, and at the end here, we have 450. This would be the original file. And if I add this extension, I would get the one that this filter generated. The same way I got this one over here. And that's why it's important to use newer Shopify themes, because newer themes use these filters. And if you upload by mistake an image like I've uploaded here, this was 5,000 pixels, the original one. If I go here and I check it out, the intrinsic size is now 1,300 pixels. And this was resized by the theme itself. I didn't have to do anything. The theme itself took my original upload, rescaled it, and displayed the version of that image that is more manageable and that will help my users have a better experience. Another thing that Shopify actually does for us behind the scenes is to serve our images, no matter the format we are uploading, like JPEG or PNG. It will automatically transform them in WebP, which is a format that was developed by Google, and it should be superior. So whenever our customer's browser will support this new format, it will show web instead of JPEG or instead of PNG. So you don't have to actually go ahead and convert your JPEGs or your PNGs into web. This is done automatically, and I can show you that actually. So if I go and I try to save this image, for example, save image as, you can see here at the end, I'm going to have the web extension. This image was uploaded as JPEG, but is automatically converted to web because my browser supports that. So what are the things Shopify cannot help us with? First of all, if you are uploading oversized images that are too large, you can actually resize them inside Shopify, but it won't be the same as if you would resize them in Photoshop or something that is more professional. It has more controls. To resize an image that you already uploaded to your Shopify store, let's say this is the image, and by the way, you should never upload an image that looks like this. You're gonna click on it and you're gonna have a bunch of adjustments that you can do, one of which is the resize option right here. So I'm gonna click that. You can go ahead and you can resize it from here, but as you can see, there is no compression settings. So if you want to do this right, you should do it before you upload the image, because on a more professional image resizing tool, you're going to have compression settings as well, and you're going to be able to find that right balance between size and quality. This way you are just resizing the image. So if I change here the numbers, they will change and the image will be resized to that size, but you won't have any compression settings in here. And even though you can resize the image without compression, but you can resize it, and you can also change the aspect ratio. You saw there is an option to change the aspect ratio of the image. Like if you go here, you can go ahead and select square if you want to have the images done square. So you have basic adjustments inside this editor. What Shopify might not be able to help you with is the format you're uploading the images in. And we're going to talk about later what format you should use in what context. But if you use PNG in the wrong context, or if you use GIF in the wrong context, then Shopify might not be able to help you. You will just have to replace those images. So what actually happens is that once you upload an image, Shopify prepares it in a way so it sends it to the right servers, but your theme will decide what gets displayed in the front end. Okay, so who should care more about their images? And we have here a couple of categories of people. People that are using older themes should consider checking their images and making sure that they are optimized. And that is because older themes that don't get updates regularly won't follow Shopify's best practices. Let's say your theme is 3-5 years old. That means that it might not follow the current best practices Shopify has. Your images might not dynamically show the right version on the right screen, and that will make the experience worse for your customers. Then hand in hand with this, we have themes that are custom or heavily modified. And when I say custom or heavily modified, I'm talking about themes that were developed with agencies or with developers. Depending on who you've been working with, your theme might be optimized to show the right images on the right screens, or it might not. You can actually go and check your theme's code. If you hired a developer, if you hired an agency, you know what they built. If you have a section that has an image on it, you can actually open that section, find that snippet or section and open it up. This is an example of how not to build a Shopify section. If you go on your theme and you find a section that has something like this, you have an image tag with an src, and inside here, this is the liquid tag that should render that link for the image. If it has image URL and master, this means that this image right here will be loaded over all screens. If you are on a mobile device, if you are on a desktop, every device will get this master image. And if you upload here a 5000 pixel image, it will render that 5000 pixel image on all devices. And we don't want that because a larger image like 5000 pixels, it will take a lot longer to load. And if you are on a desktop computer connected to a Wi-Fi or directly to the internet, then this might not be an issue because that has enough power to load that image fast no matter what. But if you're on a mobile device, then it's a different story altogether. First of all, you won't need to download such a big image for that small screen. You don't need 5000 pixels for a mobile device screen. And second of all, the internet connection might not be as stable. So in the end, if you serve the same assets to desktop as you do on mobile, the users will have a far worse experience. If you have sections that look something like this on your theme, you should definitely invest the time to fix them. What you should have instead is image tags that look like this, that have multiple link options for multiple widths. For this image tag here, we have the default option that is 1600 pixels, and then we have these options right here. So under the width of 800 pixels, we should show the 800 pixels image. Under the width of 1200, we should show the 1200 pixels, and so on. This ensures that we are loading the right image for the screen size and nothing more. And this is just one example of how not to load an image on a Shopify theme. If you have an older theme, you should anyways check all your sections to see if your images have dynamic sources like this, because if you don't, then your performance might not be what it should be. Next, images are important if you have large catalogs on your store. If you have a lot of products with a lot of images, then you should check to see if all your images are actually compressed, are actually performing well. And if you have an older theme or a custom theme, then it's even more complicated for you. Then if you have a lot of traffic coming from mobile, then that's an issue, because as I said, if your theme is older or customized and it has sections or templates that are loading large images for no reason, then mobile traffic will suffer. Then your conversion rate might not be what it should be. Then if you have a store that is fairly simple, you don't have a lot of apps installed but still have speed issues, you should check those images, because this can be the issue for you, and then it's easy to fix because you just go and compress your images and you're fine. And to be completely honest, anyone with a Shopify store should check their images, because there are a lot of issues on Shopify that can slow down our stores. Issues with apps and things that we cannot control. Uploading the right type of image and compressing the images is a topic that we can actually control. So if you care about the conversion rate of your store, images is a topic that you should look into. Okay, so what are some of the misconceptions people have around images? One of which is that Shopify optimizes everything automatically. I wish it was so, but unfortunately Shopify is a bit conservative when it comes to image optimization out of the box. So if I go to a Shopify dashboard, I have here an image that I've uploaded, and this image is 9 megabytes. If I open this up, it is 5700 pixels tall, and it is almost 10 megabytes. And this is the original information from my actual file that I've uploaded. If I open a Finder window where I have the same file open, I have this image over here and it is 9 megabytes, 0.8, the same like here. So 9.76, this is rounded 9.8. So the dashboard reflects the same information I have on my computer. And if I go and copy the link that was generated after I've uploaded this, so if I copy this link and I open it in a new tab, if I refresh now the page here, I have the network tab open so that I can see the file loading right here. I can see that the size after uploading it to Shopify is 6 megabytes. So 6,130 kilobytes. The maximum size that I recommend for Shopify is actually 500 kilobytes. So 6 megabytes is still too large. You can see that there is a change from 9, almost 10 megabytes to 6 megabytes, a difference of 3 megabytes. Shopify did do something, compress the image a little bit. The out-of-the-box compression is small. We have a long way to go to 500 kilobytes. So yes, Shopify does compress the files, but it doesn't compress the files as much as we would need. The next misconception is that higher resolution always looks better. And this is wrong because you can have a well compressed image that looks almost like the original with a fraction of the size. And to highlight that, I would want you to stop the video and have a look at these two images. One of them is 2.7 megabytes and one of them is 136 kilobytes. You can stop the video and have a closer look and tell me which one is which. In my point of view, they look similar, but I'm gonna show you which one is which. So we have the one over here is actually the original one. So this is the 2.7 megabytes and this one over here is the compressed one. So as you can see their names, this is the compressed one and this is the original one. You can have a look again and tell me if you can spot the difference. If you zoom in and look at the lines and everything in the images, you probably can find some differences, but overall the images look similar to the naked eye. The story would be different if you would try to print this image and have it on paper on your wall, but on Shopify we don't need very high resolution images. So next we have another myth or a misconception. A lot of people make this mistake thinking that PNG is better than JPEG. And this is not true because PNG, offers a lot of quality, but also doesn't offer a lot of compression. And as I said before, images can be compressed and the naked eye cannot see the compression. I'm going to show you now that if I open the same image in Photoshop and I just convert it to PNG, so I don't do anything to it, I go to export, export as, and then I convert it to PNG. I leave everything as it is. I can take also the transparency down because we don't have transparency. If I hit export, now my file will be exported in the same folder. Now let's see what size that PNG was saved at. So as you can see here, this is the PNG. Now the 2.7 megabytes was transformed into 8 megabytes. And this is just for saving the image. I didn't do any edits inside it. I didn't do anything. It just transformed it into a new format. And this is the problem if you have like a large banner and you save it as PNG from Canva, let's say, it's going to be large just because it has the PNG extension, and you can compress PNGs as well, but they won't compress as well as JPEGs will. So if you don't plan to use transparency, don't even try using PNG because it's going to be heavier than a JPEG and then your performance will drop. And the last misconception is that if you have more images, your site will be slower. This is not true. You can have as many images as you want, as long as you are serving the right sizes for the right screen, and as long as you lazy load your images, then you're fine. You can have as many images as you want. And I'm going to show you now an example of lazy loading. I have this site here, which is an example of how lazy loading is implemented. So as you can see in the network tab over here, we have the files loaded for the site, which this is a simple site. It just has text and some files. So if I scroll down, we have here exemplified how lazy load would work. And this is an example with click. For example, you can assign an event like a click and you can have images load. Did you see that there? The image just populated. Now if I click this, it's going to populate a different image. So the image didn't load up until I did something. Now it's a click, but these images can also load up when scrolling. Like if I go lower, there is an area where images will start populating, as you can see here. These images were not populated up until now. They only get populated as I scroll. So by lazy loading your images, the site won't be heavy. The user won't have to download everything at once. But when they do something on your site, like when they scroll down or when they click or when they do something else that you define, images will get downloaded and populated on your layout. Now, what are the formats that we should use for our images? And I have here the main formats that we should use. So we have JPEG, we have PNG, and we have web. We have also GIF, but I don't recommend using GIF, and that's why I didn't include it here. Instead of GIF or the animations inside the GIFs, you can use MP4 videos. Those will load much better than a GIF file would. So these are the main image types that you should use. And as I said earlier, the JPEG, the PNG will be automatically transformed into web. You don't have to actually upload web. So let's see the advantages of each of them. And for page speed insights, you're going to always score better if you have web files. Shopify does this for us automatically, so we don't have to actually do anything here. We just upload JPEG, PNG, and those will be automatically transformed into web. Then for core web vitals, same thing. You're gonna get better results with web. For smaller sized files, you should always use JPEG. JPEG will perform better than PNG. So it makes no sense for you to save a large image in PNG if you don't plan on using transparency. If you need transparent background, then yes, you should use PNG. And a transparent background means something like this. I'm going to show you now an example. This page has this product displayed here. This is a transparent background PNG. If I drag it, you can see that there is no background behind the object. So the object is actually clipped and there is nothing there. So if I open this image in a new tab, it looks something like this. It's still a square, but what you see white here is just a simulation of a background. If again I drag it to the side, you can see on the black that there is nothing behind the object. It's just in this view, you're gonna get like a white box around it. So this is how transparent PNG looks like. If you don't need this effect, because this brand uses this here, but they also use this at the bottom. You see it lays on top of this other section, it creates an effect. So they chose to use transparent PNGs to get this effect. But if you don't have something like this on your site, you can just use normal JPEGs. So in this case over here, they could have just used the object on a white background saved as a JPEG, and that JPEG would have probably compressed better than this PNG does. Then for most of the images you have on your store, you should always use JPEG, because JPEG again can be compressed better, and Shopify automatically transforms it into web, and you're gonna get the best experience that way. And as I said, for transparency, for illustrations, for logos, you should use transparent PNGs. As you can see here on the same side, they have the logo there. If I drag this, this is also a PNG with transparency, and it looks like this. You can drag it and you can see that there is no background to that text. Usually for logos or for graphics like this on the site, graphics that have multiple backgrounds or some sort of an effect, you would use PNGs for those, but if not, you should just use JPEG. Then there are two types of compression. We have lossless compression, and for lossless compression, you should use PNG. And the lossless compression is a compression that allows us to come back later and keep on working on the same file. This compression doesn't take a lot of the original quality from the file. That's why the size of the file can be larger. And then we have the lossy compression, which is the compression that comes with the JPEG files, the compression that takes away from the quality of the original file. But if you do it right, if you compress in the right way, the human eye cannot really tell the difference between the original file and the compressed file. So this is the type of file that we want to use on our sites, the type of file that is small in size but still looks great. If you need transparency, you can use PNGs, but for most of the images, you're going to want to use JPEGs that are well compressed. And by the way, you can compress PNGs as well. So even though you have a design that needs transparency, you don't need to upload huge PNGs. Then Shopify will take this too and convert them into WebP, which will give a good experience to the customer. Don't go and convert these to WebP yourself, because then if you're only serving WebP, if the customer's browser doesn't support that format, then they will not see the images, which can then create other type of issues. Just upload PNGs and JPEGs and you should be fine. Okay, now when it comes to image dimensions and aspect ratios, my advice would be that you should never upload images that are larger than 2000, 3000 pixels, and 3000 pixels is actually overkill. A lot of screens don't need that much, and I'm going to show you now most of the screens that are out there fall into one of these categories. We're going to have firstly the SD, which stands for simple definition. That is 640 with 480 pixels. These are like older devices, maybe smaller devices, older phones, and so on. Then we have the full HD, and we have a lot more devices there. We're going to have TV screens, we're going to have monitors, tablets, and so on. A lot of older laptops use full HD resolution. That is 1920 by 1080. And then we're gonna have the 4K screens. 4K screens are now more widely used. So 3840 by 2160. You're gonna find this screen size on more devices nowadays, laptops, TVs, and so on. And of course, we're gonna have the 8K screens that are not that widely used. Not a lot of people have 8K TV screens or 8K monitors now, but maybe in the future. So a lot of people will be in the 4K range, full HD or 4K. In my case, for example, I'm now on a MacBook Pro, and this is the resolution that I have on this screen, 3024 by 1964. So in my case, for this screen from bezel to bezel, if I would have a hero banner, for example, the image should be maximum 3000 pixels. Now the thing is, images get redimensioned on your screen, and you cannot really tell the difference. If you have images with a lot of details, then you might see the differences, but for a lot of other images, you cannot really see them. And I'm going to show you now an example. So I have these two images, they are the same, so the same aspect ratio. The only difference is that one is significantly larger in size, in pixels, than the other one. And I would like you to tell me which one is smaller and which one is larger. I'm gonna click on the first one, this is the first one, and then I'm going to click on the second one. You may see small differences when I change the image. You can stop the video and you can look closer and let me know if there are any differences, because these images are significantly different in size. So this is the first one, 2.5 megabytes, and the size is 5712 with 3213. And the second image is 308 kilobytes, and the dimensions are the full HD dimensions, 1920 with 1080. So as you can see, you cannot really tell the difference between them, even though there are a lot more pixels in the first version. And again, my screen is 3000 pixels wide, so you cannot tell the difference on this screen. Maybe on some other screens you can, but for most screens you won't need large resolutions. And we are talking now about desktop screens because mobiles take even smaller images. So there is no reason to give a screen like this that has 3000 and with an image that is larger, like 8000 maybe. Because when you give it an 8000 pixels image, it's going to squish it to 3000 and it's going to have the same visual effect as if you would give it a full HD image that is 2000 in width. And when I told you the sizes here, I was talking about the full screen. So if we have a screen that is full HD, this is the width of the entire screen, right? So if we are talking about a website, websites have boxes. So you might have a hero banner at the top like this that goes across the site. And there you might need an image that is 3000 pixels, like in this case, 3800. An image like that, yeah, you're gonna need the full width of the screen. But there is no reason to use a 5000 pixels image inside a box like that. You can just determine the width of that exact box and size your image correctly. Because if you give this box that is, let's say, 600 pixels by 600 pixels, an image that is 5000 pixels wide is going to just shrink it to 600 pixels and then it's going to serve a large asset that will have like 3 megabytes instead of serving an asset that can have like 60 kilobytes. And the same goes for all the screens. In an optimized site, you would determine the size of the boxes where you have images, and you would determine the maximum size you need for that image and feed that exactly. But that's not always the case. We have older themes or heavily modified themes that have sections that serve the wrong type of asset for the screen size. And that's why the experience for the user is not an optimal one. And that's why the conversion rate can drop. Now, if you feed your layout images that are properly sized and the maximum width of an image is 2000 pixels, let's say if you want to go overboard, you can upload 3000 pixels, but you need to compress those. These sizes are enough for zoom. If you have product images that have that zoom functionality, this is enough for zoom and this is enough for retina screens as well. So let me show you what I mean. If I go to this site over here, if I click on a product, they have the zoom turned on. So if I want to see a close-up of this boot, I can just click on it and then I can see this image larger. Again, my screen here is 3000 pixels. So if I go and I inspect this image over here, I can see that this image is actually 1920 and this is a perfect square. So 1920 by 1920 pixels. This is the entire image. And as you can see, it looks fine on my screen. And it is well compressed, 46 kilobytes for this size. This is great. Uploading images that are larger than that are just overkill, won't benefit you a lot more. So probably you could see the lines a little bit better, a little bit clearer, but that won't have a lot of impact in the buying decision. And you would just burden the customer with larger files to download and the experience would just be worse. Now, when it comes to aspect ratios, we have two aspect ratios that are commonly used online. We have the square images and we have the 4:5 for fashion shots. And I'm going to show you two examples now. This one would be the square version where you have a grid with square images. As you can see, this site uses that. And if you're selling fashion, you probably use something like this. This is good for fashion because you can fit the person better, so you can see the clothing items better. Now, it would be beneficial for you to have the images already cropped in your aspect ratio, the one that you want, and to have the images in that resolution and compressed. But if your images are already uploaded to Shopify and you don't want to re-upload them, then you can edit them inside Shopify. So let's say you would want to add this image to this product right here. Let's say it's already uploaded and I'm going to make this as my main image. I'm going to show you why it's important to have this cropped already. If I go now to this site's product grid and I refresh it, now I'm going to have that image featured in there. And because I didn't crop it already, it looks weird inside the grid. As you can see, these other images are square and this image over here is tall, like the fashion shots. And if you upload images in different ratios, they will display here differently, and then your product grid will be messy. So if you want to make this image square to make it fit this grid, you can actually do it from inside Shopify here if you already have it uploaded. You're just gonna go to the image, you're gonna click it, and you're gonna go here to crop and transform. This is going to let you change the aspect ratio. So we have here the square version and it's already pre-selected. If you want to adjust the cropping, you can just drag this square and position it where you want it. So in my case, I want to contain the entire product, so that's why I'm going to position it like that. If you want to zoom, you can actually zoom in and zoom out. If you want to crop it vertically, you're going to have here a selection. You can choose from those. In my case, I'm going to keep it square and I'm going to click on this apply button over here. And my image was cropped. Now I can go and I can save. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go lower here to resize because this is also a little bit too big. And instead of 3000 here, I'm going to change to 1920 because this is enough. And I'm going to click apply again. And then I'm going to click on save here. And my image was redimensioned and cropped to a square. Now, if I go to my product grid here and I refresh the page, my image looks perfect inside this grid. Okay, let's see what is the recommended upload sequence. Once you get your images from your photographer or from your supplier, what steps should you take? First of all, I think you should resize those images because if your photographer is taking images with a DSLR camera, those images will have a high resolution and we don't want to upload that resolution to the Shopify store because those file sizes will be large and the user will have to wait more until the site actually downloads. The second problem you might have with images coming directly from the camera is the aspect ratio. If you want square images on your store, those images might not come in that format, so you will have to crop them yourself. So the second step you should take is to crop your images to the right format you want. If you're on a Mac, I'm going to show you now how you can do that in bulk, how you can resize in bulk because cropping in bulk is not recommended. The items inside the images might not be positioned in the same spot, but resizing images in bulk can be done. So I'm going to show you now how you can do that with the preview app on Mac. I'm sure that there are options on Windows as well. So on Mac, you're just going to select the images. Let's say you have your images in a folder like this. You're going to select them all and you're going to open them with the preview app. Once inside the preview app, you're going to go to edit and to select all. You're going to have them selected like that. Then you're going to go to tools and inside tools, you're going to have adjust size. And inside this window here, you can change the sizing. So what I do always is go to the highest number if I have tall images like this. And by the way, you should have the same type of image in here. So once you made sure that all the images in that folder have the same format, you're going to go to the highest number, in my case 4000, and I'm going to reduce this to 2000. And it would have been the same with horizontal images. In that case, the numbers would be reversed. So setting the higher number to 2000 is good enough for me. If you want to research this and go maximum 3000, but 2000 is good enough. And once you've done that, you hit OK, and these three images will have this reduced size. Again, cropping in bulk is not recommended because the item inside the image might be positioned differently, and then cropping in bulk might result in weird croppings. So instead of that, you will have to go and crop manually. And to do that with the preview app, you can go here and click this button over here. You're going to have these options. Then you're going to select this here selection tool. You're going to do your selection here. And if you want to have square, you just have to hold shift and this will be always a square. And then you're going to adjust this selection until you like it. And when you're done adjusting it, you're going to have here the crop icon. You're going to click on that. And then this image was cropped. And if you want to crop in a different way, you will just have to make your selection in that shape. You're going to have the size at the bottom. And when you're done, you just click on crop and the image will crop to that selection. Now the next step after resizing and cropping would be to save that file into JPEG or PNG format. For example, if you have images in this format, which may come from iPhones, you should transform them into JPEGs. And you actually can do that also with the preview app. Let's say this image is already JPEG, but let's say this is the other format. All you have to do is go to File, Export, and you're going to have this screen over here that allows you to change the format of the image. And then you can actually go and compress the image, which is the next step that we'll take. So let's say you save this image to that format and you've compressed it as well. You can see the size here goes down as you use the compression. Let's say you save it like this, but this obviously has a disadvantage because you just see the file size, but you don't see the resulted file. You don't see the quality of the image. So if I now go and save this, I just hope that it looks good because I like the file size, but I don't know how that image actually looks like. So I can save it like that. And now I have the file saved in my desired format and also compressed. I'm going to show you later some other compression options that give you more control. When it comes to compression, you should never have images that pass the 600 kilobytes mark. So the maximum size you should have images in is 500 to 600 kilobytes. And you can compress images with the preview app. That can work, but there are some platforms out there that can help you, one of which is this one, Squoosh. And I'm using this one because it gives you more control. Let me add an image here to show you what I mean. And I'm gonna take the same image. Now this one has 2.7 megabytes. If I drop the image in here, and this is the preview. If I scroll a little bit out, I'm gonna see the image as it is. And now the compression is set to 75. But if I go and I drag this to, let's say 40, now the file resulted will be 172 kilobytes and the quality is comparable. I mean, I cannot really tell the difference. So if I go closer, this version over here is the compressed one and this one is the original one. I cannot really tell the difference. Let's see with this line over here. Yeah, if you really look close, you can see that this version over here has some artifacts included and this one doesn't. But I mean, who's gonna look this close? So normally people will see this image something like this. Let's say if we add the zoom functionality, maybe something like this, and there really is no difference between these two versions. You can even go lower, so we can go to maybe 20 or 30%, and I still cannot really see big differences between these two versions. I can see that the artifacts on here are changing, but I'm not sure which one is which version is which. So this is why Squoosh is really nice because you can go and adjust the compression as much as you want and you have this visual. You can stop whenever you think the image is compressed enough and the file size is small enough. So once you're done with this, you can go and you can download and then you can save your image in your folder and you're done. Obviously, you will have to go one by one and do this for all the images you want to compress, which might take a little bit of effort. If you have a large catalog of products, this might be tedious and you might not want to go one by one and adjust the compression to each of the images. And more so if you already have the images uploaded to your store, that might mean a lot of manual work. For that situation, I would recommend using an app like TinySEO Speed and Image Optimizer. They have a great tool for optimizing images and it looks something like this. So once you have the app installed on your store, you have the section for improving speed. Of course, this app does much more than just image compression. It does SEO. It does a lot of other very important things, but one of which is image optimization. And they have this optimize image section. If you go there, you're gonna see the optimization that happened on your store because you can set the app to automatically compress the images that you upload so that you don't have to think about compressing the images one by one. And as you can see, we have here some examples. Like if I go to the first optimization it done on the store, this is the list of optimized images. As you can see, sometimes it can take off more than 80% from the file size that you upload, and this is pretty significant. This is saving the customer a lot of bandwidth. They don't have to download big assets, and the app does this automatically. This is one thing that you won't have to do manually anymore. They also help you improve your SEO, so if you want to try them out, you're gonna have a link in the description. So once you have your files resized, then cropped, converted to the right format, and compressed to a maximum of 500, 600 kilobytes. But I would go to much less than that. If you can keep it to 100, 200 kilobytes, that would be better. Then you can go ahead and rename your files. Write an alt text for each of the images describing what's in the image. Then you can go and you can upload your images to Shopify. Now, let's say you have your images formatted already inside the folder like that. So they are cropped, they are resized, they are compressed. All you would have to do now is rename them and give them some keywords so that search engines know exactly what's inside these images. But you might have a different question actually before naming your files, and that is, how many product images do I actually need? And the answer to that is pretty simple. You need 3 to 5 images minimum. And if you don't have 3 to 5, 1 is good, 2 is better, but 3 to 5 seems to be the magical number that answers most of the questions. And you need different images showing different things. So you're going to have a main image where you're going to feature your product. Then you're going to have an alternative angle from the side, from the back, from the top, depending on what you're selling. Then you're going to have detail shots. If that product has some features, you want to show those in one of these images. And then it's great if you have a lifestyle image, like someone actually holding that product or that product in use in some scenario. And here's an example. On Manscaped site, you have a product page that looks like this. You're gonna have this as your main image. You're gonna have a different angle right here. You're gonna have details and you're gonna have the lifestyle shots. And they also have a video at the end, which is also great to have. So main image, alternate angle, details, and you have this detail as well with the entire kit. Then you have lifestyle shots. Same thing over here with this bicycle. You're gonna have the main image, you're gonna have a different angle, then you're gonna have details, and then you're gonna have lifestyle shots. When the price is higher, you're gonna want to have more images. So if you have a more complex product or you have a product that is more expensive, then you might need to add multiple shots, multiple details. Like we have here, we have multiple scenarios, multiple details that the person might be interested in. And these multiple images might help the customer imagine owning this product and justifying the price. Same goes here on Gymshark's site. You're gonna have the main image, you're gonna have a different angle, you're gonna have details, and you're gonna have the lifestyle shot. So bottom line, most stores will need 3 to 5 images to explain their products. This would be optimum. And if you have products that are more complex or they have a higher price, then you might need to explain the product better, but don't add too many images. Every image should answer a question. If you answered all the questions, don't add images just to add images. And also you'll have to make sure that the scrolling on mobile doesn't become excessive when you add more images. Now, the next step would be to actually rename our files, because we might get our files from the photographer or from a supplier, and they might have titles like this. This is not good for search engines, so we're gonna have some bad examples of how images can be named, and this is not doing any good to the store because the names of the files don't describe at all what's in the image, and this is an SEO opportunity that we lost. So instead of uploading randomly named files like this, what you'll have to do is go and upload files that have names like this. And this is actually a formula that you can go and get from this note over here. So you can stop the video and copy this prompt that you can feed to ChatGPT, for example, in order to get names for your files that make sense. So the formula goes like this. You're gonna have the main keyword in the front. Then you're gonna have a product descriptor and then a unique detail about that shot, about that image. So in this case, we have leather wallet, which is the main keyword. Then we have product descriptor, men because this is a product for men. And then unique detail is brown because brown is the color of the product. And then the front is the angle of the image. And we want to do this with all our files. We want to describe inside the name here what is contained in the image and the context of that particular image. Leather wallet, man, brown, back. This is another angle. Then we're gonna have leather wallet, man, stitched detail, and so on. So you're gonna take this prompt because this is actually a prompt that you can feed inside ChatGPT. You're gonna copy that and you're gonna open a ChatGPT window. Inside here, you're gonna paste your prompt. And now let's see what are the variables in my case. So I'm gonna open the first image. And this is a sports backpack. I'm gonna add that. This is my main keyword, sports backpack. Then I'm gonna have here product descriptor is gonna be men because this is for men. And for each of the images I have here, I will have to add their unique detail and separate them with a comma. So here are my details for my files. I'm gonna have this image, which is black front. You can include the color there. Then we have top detail. We have this one here. Then we have on the shoulder used by someone. Then we have back, the back of the backpack. Then we have the front detail. Anyways, you can spend more time on this so that you describe it better than I did right now. But this is just how it works. So you're gonna just feed this to GPT and it's going to come up with name for your files. And here are my file names. So I see it came up with more than I needed. I don't know why. Let's see, we have this one over here, which is sports backpack, men, black front. I'm gonna copy that and I'm gonna name my file like that. And I'm gonna do the same for all of them. Now I have all my files named correctly. What I'll have to do now is to actually upload them to my Shopify store. How do we actually upload images to the Shopify store correctly? First of all, we have the Shopify Media Gallery. In the Shopify's dashboard, inside content and then files, you're gonna have your media library and you can directly upload your files in here by using the upload files button and selecting them all, then open, and they would be sent to our media library. Once in here, you're gonna be able to use them in different areas of your store. But whenever you're creating a new product, you're gonna be able to upload images directly on the product creation page. You're gonna have here the option to upload new or select existing. If you click on select existing, you're just going to open the media library and you're gonna be able to select the images from over here. If you don't have the images already uploaded in there in the media library, you can upload them from here. You just click there and you're gonna select your images and you're gonna upload them to the media library. Now they are showing in here like that, but if you go back to the media library and you refresh the page, you're gonna see that the same images were populated there as well. So whenever you're gonna upload images from the Shopify dashboard or from your theme, all the images will land in this media library over here. So now we've added images from the product page, but you can add images from the collection page as well. You will have this option to add a cover for that collection and it's gonna be done from here, add image. And again, you're gonna open the media library. If you already have images uploaded there, you can select them. If not, you can upload a new file. And the same goes for blogs, for example. You're going to be able to upload blog images and they are going to go to the media library as well. And you're going to be able to upload images also from your theme. So inside the online store themes, if you click on edit theme, you're going to have sections. So let's add one section, for example, image with text. And this image with text will have this image part where if I open this up, you're gonna have an image selection. And if I click on select here, you're gonna again go to the media library. You're gonna be able to upload a new file or select one that we already have. So again, you can upload images through the theme customizer, through the Shopify dashboard, and directly inside the media gallery. Now, let me show you how you can handle the product and the variant images once you upload them to your store. So they will show up like this after you drop them in there, and you're gonna have to select the main image and you're gonna drag that as your first image. Now this one will become the main image. Then you're gonna have to rearrange the rest of the images. So you're gonna have the main image, then you're gonna have an alternate angle, and I'm gonna select this one. I'm gonna make this as my second image. Then you're gonna have the details and then the lifestyle. You can also have the lifestyle in the beginning because you want the customer to imagine owning this backpack, and then if they have questions about the backpack, they can look at the details later. So main image, alternate angle, lifestyle, and then details. Now once you're done with that, you're gonna save, and this will be the image gallery for this product. Now let's see how this product looks like, and here it is. Now let's say that your product has variants as well. Let's say it has a color red variant. You may want to add an image for that as well. So we have the image over here. What I have to do is either drag it over here or just click on the red detail over there and open that page up. And as you can see, it has a plus sign there. This is the place where you'll have to add your variant image. So we have the variant that is black, which we can assign as well, because now if we have two color variants, we need to assign images for both of them. So now black, I'm going to click on plus because we already have the image over here, and I'm going to select the main image for black. And then I'm going to go to the red variant after saving. So I'm going to save this. And then I'm going to go to the red variant, and you see that this icon changed from a blank image icon to the actual image. So I'm going to click on red. And now to add the red variant image, I'm going to click on plus here, and I'm going to click on add files. I'm going to select my image, which is this one over here. I'm going to click on open. This will get uploaded to my media gallery. And when that's done, I'm going to click on done over here, and the image will be displayed here. And if I save now, it's going to also get updated there. So now I have my variants. And if I go and I click on the color swatches, now the images will also update, which is really nice. So this is how you also add multiple variant images. Now on the main product page, if you scroll down, you'll be able to see the variant images displayed here as well. And one more thing I wanted to say when it comes to the media library, and that is if you upload the same image twice like I did over here, as you can see, it resulted in two files. So I've uploaded just this one over here twice, and because the file name already existed, it generated a different image with a different name. The problem is that if you're using one of these images multiple times on your store, you may want to just use one file and not multiples, because then if you want to change that file in the future, you may want to change it once and not look through the media library and search for the iterations of the same image to change them all. In terms of SEO, this is also an issue because the duplicate files will have a URL that looks something like this. Instead of your clean name, the one that you've just generated, you're gonna get a bunch of gibberish at the end, and this is also not that great. Also, let's say that in the future you'll want to re-upload this image and change something about it, and to have these changes reflect all over your theme, you can just go here to replace image, and then you're going to upload the new version of your image. The URL will be kept, and then only the image will be updated. So if you have multiple duplicates of the same file and you use them across your site, then you won't be able to just go and replace one file and be done with it. You'll have to go and find all of them and replace all of them, which would mean more work for you. And that's why it's important to beware of the duplicate images and just upload what you need and try to reuse the same files. Now that I have my images uploaded to the store, next step would be for me to create alt text for each of the shots. Alt text is important for several different reasons, one of which is accessibility. So whenever someone that is visually impaired lands on your website, this is the way they actually navigate the site. So they rely on this alt text to describe what's on the screen. So if you don't add alt text on your images, people that have those issues won't be able to navigate your site, and that's a shame. Also, there are some situations when images don't load up for some reason, maybe network problem or internet problem. Then the alt text, which stands for alternative text, will show up instead. So people would know that in a certain space there is an image because you've added the description of that image. And the alt text is more powerful than the file name because the file name is only used to categorize that image, but it's never shown to the user. But the alt text is shown to the user. So the alt text is also used by Google to understand that particular image. So the file name helps Google initially categorizing the image and the alt text to understand what is inside that image. Alt text also helps Google decide if your image should show in a search result or not. So by not adding alt text to your images, you're making yourself a huge disservice. First of all, people that are visually impaired cannot really navigate your content. Then Google cannot navigate and index your content. And that's a shame because adding alt text is a really simple thing to do. And because some people actually add alt text to their images, I want to show you some bad examples, things that you should not add as alt text to your images. So you should not add advertisements inside the alt text. Leather wallet, man black, buy cheap. This is not the way your alt text should sound like, but anyway, it is better than not having alt text at all. So this is better than this one. Now let's see some good examples. Your alt text should look something like this. So it should describe exactly what's in the image in a natural way. Man wearing a black sports backpack outdoors. This is something that a person that is visually impaired could use to understand what's in a certain picture. Close-up of padded shoulder straps on a black sports backpack, also describing what's in the image. Side view of black men's sports backpack. So in order to generate alt text like these, I created a prompt that you can use inside ChatGPT. This is for 5 alt texts. So I have 5 images. I want to create 5 alt texts, but if you want to create more, you can change the number here, and then add the extra image angle that you have. In my case, I'm just going to stick with 5 and I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to ChatGPT with this prompt and I'm going to paste it in here. I'm going to go at the end where I have the variables, and inside the variables we have to change the product name. In my case it would be a sports backpack. Then visible characteristics, we can say black in my case, and it can be also water resistant. You can add multiple characteristics in here. Then you're gonna add the angles. I'm going to populate my angles now. I have front view, I have back view. I'm gonna look at my images and I'm going to populate these. And here are my variables. I have sports backpack, then I have black and water resistant, and then I have front view, back view, front detail, top detail, and lifestyle on shoulder. These are my images. And now I'm going to just feed this into GPT. And here are my alt texts. Now I'm going to copy each of them. This one is for the frontal view. And I'm going to go with it to my Shopify's dashboard. I'm going to click on the image that I want to add the alt text to. And this image editor will pop up where I have this alt text field where I can just pop in the alt text that I've generated, and now I can save. And now this image will be properly described. If I go and I preview the page now, if I inspect this image, I'm gonna see that it has the alt text attached to it. So let's find the image element. And inside the image container, we're gonna have the alt text, sports backpack, front view with a black exterior. Now I'm gonna do this for all my other images. So I'm gonna click the next image and I'm gonna paste in the next alt text. I'm going to save. And this is how I update alt text for my images. I can do this from over here. I can do this also from content and files here inside the media library. I can click on any of these images and I can modify the alt text there. And now that I've created and added all my alt texts, I'm kind of done with images. We can go through a final checklist to make sure that everything was done correctly. So first of all, we're going to choose the right format. We're going to upload only JPEGs and PNGs. And Shopify will take care that everything gets converted to web. And instead of GIFs, we're going to use MP4s because they are better and they load faster. Now, no matter if we upload JPEGs, if we don't resize and we don't crop our images, then we're going to have bad results. We don't need big images that come directly from DSLRs. Those are good for print, but for websites we need images that are properly resized and cropped to fit our layouts. Now, even if we've resized our images, we still can save some bandwidth by compressing our images. If we have files that are larger than 500 kilobytes, we should reduce them because that will make the site download faster for users. And we should think about mobile devices that don't have such a fast internet connection sometimes. By compressing our images with tools like TinySEO or Squoosh, we are not only improving the user experience on our stores, but also improving the conversion rate. Then, whenever we upload images, we should firstly name them properly. We should not upload images with random names like this one. We should describe what's in the image so that Google can categorize that image correctly. After naming your files, you can go and you can upload them to your Shopify store and reorder them so that you answer your customers' questions. Usually you have the main image, you have an alternate angle, then detailed shots and lifestyle images. And if you don't have lifestyle images from your supplier, you can generate some with AI using Gemini and Nano Banana. After uploading your images, you're going to add your alt text, and this is important for visually impaired people that navigate your site. This is important for Google to understand your content, your images. And after adding the alt text, you just go and you verify the images on the site, make sure that they are displayed in the right size and they have their alt text attached to them. Now, let me show you how you can verify if the images on your store display with the right dimensions. I have here this banner which looks good. So it's a normal banner you would see on a website. If you want to verify the size of this image, you're going to right click on it and you're going to click on inspect. And you're going to have this inspector window open, and inside here you're going to see the dimensions of the image, and obviously this image is too large. We have 5712 with 2093. The maximum width I would need on this site being 3000 from bezel to bezel, but with 2000 pixels we would still get a good experience, and I'm going to show you how you can change this image once you discover that an image is too big. So you're going to go to your customizer where you have that image, you're going to click on that image, and inside the section settings where you have that image uploaded, you're going to click on change or on edit. I'm going to click on edit because I want to resize it. Now this native editor will pop up and I can here go to resize, and instead of 5000 I'm going to say 2000, just to show you that I'm going to get an image that is good enough that it looks exactly the same. So I'm going to click on apply. Again, you can resize in this way, but you cannot compress them. You don't have control on compression. So by resizing now, I drop to 1 megabyte. This is still too much. Compression would be necessary here, but this is better than what I had before. So now once I've done this, I can go again to my site. I can refresh the page. And I can show you that the image looks exactly the same. So this is the reduced sized image. So if I inspect now and I go to that image, now the intrinsic size is 2700 pixels and it looks exactly the same as before. So this is how you can reduce the size of an image that is oversized on your store. But again, you would really need to compress this image to get better results. If I go and I compress this image, I would get the same result with probably 100 kilobytes instead of 1 megabyte. And this is not only true for the hero banners. You might have sections on your store like this one, for example. So if I inspect the image again and I go and see the details, the image itself has 6 megabytes, which is huge. And the size is this one over here. This image is 5000 pixels and the box it's displayed in is 700 pixels. So I can reduce the size of this image a lot. I can go back to the editor here and scroll to the section. I can click on the image. I can change the image if I want to upload a compressed one, where I can edit the image. Now I'm going to go to resize, and instead of 5000, I'm just going to add 1000, and I do that because the box's size is 700 pixels and you want to have an image that is 100, 200 more than the box size. So if you have a box that is 700 pixels and you add the 700 pixels image, sometimes you can get a blurry image. To avoid that, just upload images that are 100, 200, 300 pixels more than the actual box size. So I'm just going to say 1000 and click apply. This will make sure that my image will not be undersized but will not be oversized. This will reduce the file size to 1 megabyte, but still, if I would upload a different image, I could probably compress this a lot more. So now here's the effect. If I refresh the page now, the image populated and it looks exactly the same. If I go in, I inspect again, I can see that the image is 1000 pixels wide. And by the way, this bar can be set on the side as well. So you can see the details here. Okay, now that you know how to optimize your images, if you want to further optimize your store's performance, you may want to check out my full Shopify speed optimization course, link in the description. Otherwise, I think you'll be interested in seeing this video next. Click it and I'll see you there.